post-COVID, I mean, there are law firms that are looking to retrench now. Till now, they were holding on. I'm not talking your law firm. Let me clarify that right up front. I know you are not looking to do that. Your law firm is not looking to do that. But there are other law firms who are looking to downsize because the economic activity has come down. And hence, in some sectors, the mergers and acquisitions have come down. Overall economic expansion has come down. So the legal activity has also come down. Now, the reason I ask this is do you have an advice for what should other law firms do to be able to deal with this? Where do you see the economy going? How does it impact law firms in general? That's what I'm asking you, Mr. Vakil.
Very tough, good questions. So I'm an optimist by nature. And I have to say, I hope you'll agree with me that it's temporary. We cannot predict, sadly. I mean, I don't know. In fact, today my son was having a bet with me because I, of course, got it wrong. But whether it's Diwali time, whether it's end of the year, I think it's bottom line when the vaccine comes. That will be the game changer to my mind. But it's temporary. So, yes, you're right. Will we have a GDP contraction this year? No question. I think it's between -5 to -7 in that range, but there's a contraction. Will we then have a very strong bounce back? I'm equally certain of that. There is no question of that. So medium to long term, the India story doesn't change at all. So my advice to direct answer to your question is, as far as possible, don't downsize. If you can stand the pain, temporary pain, that's the critical word, then don't downsize, because the good times are coming for sure. As a firm, we, by God's grace, of course, will withstand it, no doubt about that. And we believe that the best way to do it, we've taken the inverted pyramid approach, that equity partners have the largest capacity to withstand. So we have not cut salaries for any lawyer, any staff member, and I pray that we will not have to. But of course, equity automatically takes a hit. Profit nahi hai, to where's the question of equity getting any share? So that's the way we have gone. And then hopefully next year will be a strong year. So you take the pain and then take the gain next year.
Fantastic. Mr. Vakil is saying this shall too pass. It's a temporary pain. Hold
exactly.
on, take the pain and stay in the game. That's what he's saying. I want to come to one more aspect in today. When you talk of corporate law, it is tied to policy making, right? There is a huge compliance angle. There is a huge intersection of various domains, right? And unfortunately, the Indian policy regime has seen flip-flops. On the tax side, there have been multiple interpretations of some very solid policy. So what is your advice to policymakers when they make policy? Because, I mean, if you do, just for example, if you do retrospective tax, it doesn't go down with foreign investors because it shows inconsistency of policy. And an added extended question is, the Supreme Court, I respect that institution, it is our higher court of justice, and by and large it's fair, and it is very responsible. But sometimes it has become an activist, it has overarched into economic policy without understanding the implications. And it has done judgments which have taken our country back, which has added to the policy flip-flops. So what do you have to say to the policymakers when it comes to a robust and a consistent policy going forward?
So I love your question and I love your wording. In fact, I think one of the best things in my career has been this intersection between law, policy, and economics. And I've been a huge privilege to be part of the policy making. I'm talking about IBC. So I think, in some ways, this criticism is justified, and in some ways, it's not. Because globally, if you talk about tax, the only part I agree with you is the retrospective part. Yes, no question, it should not be retrospective. But there was, one maximum two instances. So it's being blown out of proportion. In a country's, uh, in long decades, if you have done a mistake once or twice, it's not such a big deal, and every country does that. When you say, and yes, I know the story that everyone says we are not looking for a tax haven, we want a stable tax regime, we should have clear visibility. But you tell me, in UK, in US, in Europe, kahan bhi, where do you find that the tax regime does not change? I get, it's not my forte, it's Ajay's forte and passion, but I'll give you in writing that post COVID, virtually every country and all of us will be paying higher taxes. And the tax regimes will change, not only in the rates, but I hope in the US also this anomaly that pay most of your tax on income and not on capital gain. So the joke that Warren Buffett made that I pay a lower rate than my secretary. So I hope that that definitely changes. It sounds bizarre to me. So as I said, I'm like, I agree with you on the retrospective. On the other stuff, not so much. In terms of the court, yes, again, all I can say is that in large measure, for most of my career over the last 35 years, they have done fantastic job. Can they do better? Absolutely. But we have to remember at the end of the day, they are human beings. So I don't know about you, but I haven't found any perfect human beings. Everyone, all of us have strengths and weaknesses.
Sir, I have. My wife is a perfect human being. I hope it is being recorded.
That's a good one. Absolutely. So.
But you said you're married.
So therefore, sorry.
You said you're married. So either you're married and brave, dare I say?
Yes. So you want me to agree with you?
Yes, that your wife is brave. Is perfect. Jokes apart. But I get what you're saying.
So,
policy has to.
Yeah, so I mean, there have been some mess ups. But I think largely they've done a pretty good job.
Okay. At this point, I want to ask you about two things, and then I want to let Ashima ask. One is, do you see post-COVID, you've already seen last 4 months, Jio has raised 1,50,000 crores, right? There are other players that are in the process of raising money. Google has promised to invest more money in India. Facebook has promised to invest more money in India. Do you see the FDI inflows in 2021 really making up for 2020?
I think so. As I mentioned to you, I'm very bullish on India in the medium and long term. And I'll tell you why. There are two things going very much in our favor, besides the obvious part about the market, which of course is very real, is this whole very unfortunate situation with China. So we focus a lot on the manufacturing, the supply chains. No one, unless will now put all the eggs in that basket, will have to diversify. There, my personal view is that we will have to focus on some core manufacturing competencies where India is a global player and go for those. And yes, then maybe we can beat Vietnam and Thailand and all those in that space. So some FDI should come there. Obviously for APIs, pharma, there are many areas. But what many people are not figuring out, and of course, Jio, I think, in fact, you left out the rights issue, so that makes it 2 lakh crores.
The 2 lakh crores. Yeah, but that's not FDI.
That's not FDI. Yeah. So there, if you are going to do a big FDI in communications, in any of the new age areas where privacy is such a concern, snooping, especially by sovereigns, is such a concern. India is a place, like, again, if I may say with my Parsi genes, that India trusts the Tata brand. Just like that, I would say most of the world trusts the India brand. So you will, if you're going to do 5G, which Reliance has said, then whether it's US, whether it's Japan, they say, "ठीक है, we can do this technology with India. It will give us a market of over 1 billion people to test that." If you're going to do AI, if you're going to do Internet of Things, if you're going to do space technology, which is again huge, and I think Bharti and the UK government have tied up. So yes, I think that this has given us a fantastic opportunity, because trust is a huge factor in business, and the trust will today be focused on India.
Beautiful. Coming from somebody like you, I think it's a message of hope that this shall too pass and India will regain for what it has lost this year.